Paul and Donna star Christen. Donna, known by most by the name of Muffy, have been devoted supporters of Dakota Wesleyan University since their time as students on campus. Paul and Muffy are both distinguished alumni recipients and received honorary doctorates from Dakota Wesleyan. They have contributed financially towards multiple projects and initiatives on campus, including the Christen Family Athletic Center, the Corrigan Health Sciences Center, and the DWU Avera Sports and Wellness Complex, as well as supporting scholarships for students. The couple has lived a life of generosity, epitomized by Muffy's favorite scripture, Luke 12, verse 48, which reads, "To whom much is given, much is expected." Their loving partnership spanned more than 6 decades, and even with Muffy's passing on January 6, 2019, Paul and her legacy will never be forgotten. They will continue to be admired and praised for the wonderful family and vast business enterprise they jointly created. DWU will be forever grateful for their authentic philanthropic commitment to higher education that served to inspire countless others to give. For this, we celebrate the legacy of Paul and Muffy Christen. It all began over an orange soda pop at Corker's Cafe in Mitchell. Paul and Muffy were high school sweethearts who decided to come to Wesleyan together. Paul, a 1950 graduate, majored in economics and accounting. When he came to Wesleyan, he wanted to get through in 3 years. He later reflected, "After all these years, what was my hurry?" Muffy, a 1951 graduate, majored in drama, religion, and speech. She had an interest in theater, which she pursued in high school and while at Dakota Wesleyan. Paul supported Muffy's acting by being a stagehand. This was an early symbol of their support for one another, regardless of who was on stage or behind the scenes. After graduation, Paul and Muffy were married and moved to Huron to own and operate Ruby Ann Bakery. They worked side by side to build their first successful enterprise.
Well, I didn't go to school to become an entrepreneur. I absolutely did not. I fell into that piece by doing the things that I've been telling you about. Patience and looking at knowing what my strengths were. And I've carried all through my life as entrepreneurial endeavors is that you needed to keep a very positive attitude.
The Christens had a lifelong impact at Dakota Wesleyan. Paul and Muffy's first gift to DWU was in 1966. Their first $1 million gift to DWU followed in 1985. That $1 million gift made the Christen Family Athletic Center possible. The building bears their name, and their donation was noted to be given in memory of their parents, the late Herbert and Guida Starr, and the late Philip and Ruby Christen.
When we started to put together the first campaign for Dakota Wesleyan University in its history, we went to see the Christians. They were the first persons that we went to visit. And they said, "We've decided that we can help lead this, and we think we can make $1 million multi-year commitment." And it was like, this has to be one of the great days in Dakota Wesleyan's history. But you know what was really remarkable was the fact that almost immediately they started to invite others in. So I think that the Christians were willing to put their credibility on the line was a transformational moment for Dakota Wesleyan. We had just lost 4 colleges in this region. It was a difficult time. So that was an amazing piece for us.
As you've become familiar with the Christen family, what have you appreciated about that relationship?
They're incredible people to begin with, and we think alike in many ways. But they're great leaders. They led us to considering making such a large gift.
And when we met them at a couple, you could just see the love that they have for Dakota Wesleyan and for each other.
Yeah.
And that was very impressive.
You know, we didn't know these people, but boy, when we met them, it was, sort of, let's get together and do something.
Yeah, and we thought, the two of us, we can make things happen here.
Yeah. It was, a half-an-hour conversation, and we said, okay, let's do it.
I believe I first met Paul and Muffy during the groundbreaking ceremony at the Christian Wellness Center, which was one of Paul's first major building gifts. It was a huge addition to DWU, which had a very poor athletic facility at the time, and it was a major gift for DWU athletics, and I've always been a big Tiger fan, so very excited about that, and they were very instrumental in making that project happen.
So we had a really special opportunity shortly after becoming president of the university. Paul and Muffy invited Ken and I to their home in Huron. And we went out in their backyard, which is just this beautiful backyard with beautiful flowers, and Muffy just loved flowers. And we're walking through the backyard, and then we just sit down and begin to have a conversation about why they care about Dakota Wesleyan, and they were so inspiring as a couple to Ken and I, because they really viewed the role of the president as a joint one, and they embraced Ken and they embraced me, and they were just offering wonderful wisdom and insight. That was just who Muffy and Paul were. They were just constantly mentoring people, accepting them where they were at, being gracious and hospitable. And they had such a model of marriage themselves that it continued to and does continue to inspire us today.
By 1976, Paul and Muffy started First Western Bank and began acquiring banks in western South Dakota under the First Western Bank name. The business grew to 18 locations. The banks were known for being community-oriented and adopted a slogan of "We believe in you."
Paul had this amazing ability to look at a situation and then kind of visualize what it might mean. And he said, let's look at our programs and determine where do we have the best opportunities to kind of leverage the future. And I'm thinking probably business or education. And he said, healthcare. Paul knew the leadership of the Presentation Sisters and all the people on the board of St. Joe. And we made proposals, and St. Joe came back with a major financial commitment and a commitment to host our clinicals. And this really stabilized our program. And I think what's significant here is that Paul actually has been involved in this conversation for 30 years, and the fact that Dakota Wesleyan has this marvelous partnership with Avera goes all the way back to this time when St. Joe was hospital, and Paul's been in it all the way.
I'm not sure if we would have done something as big without them. I mean, they led us to that decision, and you know, and all alone, that was a huge step for us. It was massive, and well, they're doing what the heck? Let's do it.
One of the great memories I have of Paul is sitting in the McGovern Library conference room, and in that conference room we have a picture of every president who's been at Dakota Wesleyan. And he looked up there and he said, there are 20 presidents' faces on that wall, and he said, you know, I've worked with 11 of them, Amy. And it was this remarkable statement about the longevity of commitment and loyalty that was so impressive. And I said, well, tell me, when did you actually start working? He goes, well, I was a senior at Dakota Wesleyan when I started fundraising for the university. And so back in 1951, there was some struggle at the university, and Paul stepped in as a senior in college and was figuring out ways to strengthen the university through philanthropic giving and soliciting funds. And so we can look at that now and say, that's a 70-year legacy. And what a remarkable commitment. I don't know if I know of any universities that have had a couple make such an impact. So it wasn't just in terms of giving, but it was in terms of who they introduced us to, and doors that were open, insights that were offered, chairing the board of trustees. They demonstrated a commitment and loyalty to this university for well over 70 years. That's a pretty remarkable impact.
Paul and Muffy have been involved in many state and community organizations, and have been active donors locally and nationally. Paul was the founder and first chairman of the South Dakota Community Foundation. From 1984 to 2003, he became part owner of the Minnesota Twins. In 1988, Paul and Muffy helped fund the Christen Home Lusk Greater Huron Area Foundation. It was in response to the financial needs of the Greater Huron area. Paul received the first Excellence in Economic Development Award in 1994, which was given by the governor's office. Muffy was also involved in and committed to multiple civic activities at the community and state level, receiving numerous awards for her work. She was notably influential in the establishment of the Spirit of Dakota Award. In 2009, Muffy was instrumental in helping raise $15 million for the Crazy Horse Memorial Foundation. She pledged $5 million to help provide educational opportunities for local Native youth. Muffy shared, "I consider it an honor to play a role in continuing the progress that is being made on all fronts at Crazy Horse. The best thing about our gift is that it will continue to grow and provide support for this unique school." In 2011, Paul and Muffy were included in the Chronicle of Philanthropy magazine as one of 50 of America's most generous donors.
Paul has been remarkably ahead of his time in terms of leadership principles and management principles. And today the buzzwords are co-development and collaboration. And actually Paul's been practicing these principles for 30-some years. But probably the thing I remember the most is we were working on some kind of difficult issue. I don't remember what it was. But he looked across the table to me and he said, "Jim, let's not worry about who gets the credit. Let's just get the job done." And the thing about it is he modeled that for our Board of Trustees and for me in a very effective way.
Paul is a lifetime member of the DWU Board of Trustees. Paul was quoted as saying, "The foundation for our philanthropy and our service started right here on campus. The real challenge is to do something that someone you will never meet or never know will receive the benefits from."
And so on. We couldn't give much, but we felt we wanted to do something. And we had wasn't quite defined as I now will say it, but basically we're interested in giving to future generations. And I've said this, a million times, is that we wanted to give it to people who will never know and never see.
Share with us, what would you like to say to Paul today?
Well, I'd say right away, they've had a heck of a big impact on us. Impact on the university, but on us. They are very persuasive when it comes to charitable giving. Without their leadership, we wouldn't be making this interview today.
I'd like to thank Paul for his tremendous support, both his financial support and his time and efforts. He attends all the meetings and is very active at DWU, has been for a very long time, and as a board member, we really appreciate his continued dedication.
What I would like to say to Paul and Donna is that the two of them had the most profound, other than our parents, the two of them had the most profound impact on Gene and I's lives as anybody that we've ever known. And we are just so grateful to Paul and Donna and Dakota Wesleyan for this opportunity. Thank you.
Paul and Muffy had a network of people that were remarkable, and it was a rare day when I would mention a name of somebody in South Dakota and he didn't know the connection, whether it was through Boy Scouts or the banking or through involvement in state government. And so they also opened countless doors for us at the university, and those doors led to new program developments, led to new philanthropic giving for the university. It just fundamentally transformed us. But when I think about my time at Dakota Wesleyan, when it gets tough, the first person I call is Paul, because he always has a way of being able to look at it with a sort of lens to say, you've got it, you can dig deep. This isn't the worst problem we faced. I've been here 70 plus years, and there's been a lot more challenges. And you have it within you to sort of lead this institution through that challenge. He has been a remarkable mentor. So I guess today I just want to say thank you, Paul. Thank you for just being a remarkable model of leadership.